My first investment was in a stock called Kalgoorlie Resources when I was about 14, and I think it's had about 3 or 4 name changes since then. So what I've learned from that experience was to do your own research, and 2, to be very circumspect about investing in resource companies.
Well, my first investment actually coincided with the sale of my first cow. That's because I was able to get $550 worth of capital from that animal and put it to work in the stock market. Back then, that was in the early 1990s, so my first investment was in Foster's Brewing Group. The reason for that being, back in that time, the beer industry was still a growing, resilient and cash-generating business.
My first investment was in education, and because I think investing in yourself is probably the best investment that you can make for life.
First investment was Giant Resources. I was in grade 12 and it was pretty much a punt. It didn't go well. It was just before the boom that went up till October '87, and I was up 4 or 5 times my money and thought I was pretty special. Saw a father just before that, he said, "This will all end in tears, you know." And it did. I lost all my money, and I went back to that same father and said, "How did you know?" And he said, "Because there's actually a science to this and you can work it out." And I've been hooked on the stock market ever since. It was my pivotal moment to have a career in investment markets, but it didn't end well, my first investment.
So my first investment was Brambles convertible notes in 1974. I was 14 years of age. It was a big event, introduction to the family stockbroker. Ernest L. Davis became Burroughs & Co. I went and worked for them 13 years later. Why? My mother was the private secretary to the managing director at the time of Brambles, so I got I guess a hot tip as a 14-year-old on a stock that was looking like it was going to go somewhere. They were doing a JV with GKN at the time and expanding to the world, and it was a great looking investment that I was being recommended by a close family friend, and it's turned out to be. Brambles has been a great investment. It's outperformed the index over the last 30-something years.